others celebrate the wins,
Yes.
we celebrate the mud.
each episode has a special guest.
Tony-nominated actress, Broadway's Lily Cooper.
Tashir Zameda.
David A. Gregory.
Getting messy with muddy topics.
We are going to be talking about grief journey.
With hilarious moments
Now get over here.
And deep conversations.
I'm ashamed to even admit this, but this is what happened.
This is Into the Mud.
Welcome back, Muddy Buddies. We're here with part 2 of our conversation with Maui-based therapist and career coach Natalie Diaz. Last week, we had a dynamite chat about her big leap from New York's high-pressure corporate grind to building a slower, more intentional life and practice in Hawaii. If you haven't heard part 1 yet, we recommend going back to catch the full story, but if you're short on time, here's the quick recap. Natalie opened up about unlearning hustle culture, healing her nervous system, embracing discomfort, and creating a career rooted in purpose over profit. Now, in part 2, Alex and I step into the hot seat for some real-time coaching with Natalie as we work through a few of our own muddy spots. First up, Alex picks Natalie's brain for some advice on poor time management. As always, thank you for listening and enjoy.
So to that point, and to bring us on back to our structuring our days, because this is a thing I struggle with, is that I find that I'm busy all the time, but then I look at my day and I'm like, well, what did you really get done? Like yesterday, I woke up at 7:30, I went to bed at midnight, I worked, I did journaling in the morning, and I did this, and then I exercised, and then for me, I feel like when I have a whole day, I have to maximize it. I have to squeeze every second of that day to like its fullest potential. And I have trouble taking time to like just taking a couple hours to be like, okay, now you rest, because I had 2 shows. I had a 10:30 and 11 o'clock show last night. Mm-hmm. In my brain, I'm like, well, you have to work up until that point, rather than giving myself a few hours of rest, which most people do. Most people go to their job and then come home, and most people don't continue working. Mm-hmm. But I think I have this whatever thing in my brain that's like, you got to be efficient, and because you're not working as many hours as other people, you got to make sure you're putting in all the other hours. I have trouble with time management, and I would love to hear from you on like how you structure your days so that you are working when you're working, resting when you're resting, playing when you're playing, and doing all of those things without thinking, I should be doing this other thing.
Yeah. Before we get to my days,
Yes.
what you just said, you just described internalized capitalism.
Yeah.
And then you blamed it on yourself. And then you said, I have poor time management skills.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. So
Let's open that box.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are we kicking the shoes up?
Internalized capitalism is that, okay, 40 hours a week. If I'm not, a machine from 9 to 5 and working 40 hours a week, I'm bad. I'm lazy. I'm wrong. I'm wasting time. What am I doing? What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
You don't have a 9 to 5. What you just described when you were talking midway through, I said, okay, so she wakes up at 7:30. She goes from 7:30 to midnight, but she thinks she's not doing enough, and then blames it on herself.
Okay.
But that's something really that I don't mean it to
No.
be critical of you.
No.
It's to say we have to understand how these systems. How we have internalized these systems and how they fuck with us and how they can be very harmful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for you, I would say, I don't know if your goal is to work 8 hours a day or to work less.
I mean, my goal, and it's interesting, we were just talking about this because I am in the process of looking for a new apartment right now in New York, which is insane. And rent prices are out of control. And I think it's, when I look at how busy I am during the days, but how much I'm still not making the money I want to make, it's like, I don't necessarily want to work more. I just want to work more efficiently or direct my efforts towards something that makes more money per output, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what my goal is, I feel burnt out. I feel burnt out from hustling and this is very common with, any sort of freelance field or entertainment or anything. You have to hustle for scraps. You have to take all the show, or maybe that's the mindset, but it's this like, take everything that comes across your plate, the scarcity model, the like, I don't know when the next job's going to come. I don't have a salary that comes in every 2 weeks, so there's no room for me to slow down. I'm constantly trying to book myself in other places and do this and that. And that, I think that's what makes it difficult to slow down or to pare back what I'm doing is this thought of like, if I have to work this hard for this tiny amount and I start to slow things down, how much smaller is my piece of the pie going to be? Which again, even as I'm speaking, I'm hearing the capitalism weaved really throughout that. And that I think is really where I'm at in my like big struggle right now of like, okay, but this isn't sustainable.
Yeah.
So how do we move forward and redirect things now to get to that point?
Yes. So if we were working together and I was coaching you, I'd probably do a couple things. I would ask you to start to audit your time and your days. I would ask you to start recording like a really detailed breakdown of like what you're doing every day. So we could look at it together and say like, okay, what's going on here? What's fluff? What's really productive? What's not so productive? I would also ask you to think about some of the things you said about sort of the culture of being a freelancer and being a performer, and this culture of like, you have to take every gig you can and like you have to hustle. And I would look at the scripts with you and ask you what is actually true. What is actually true in general, but also what is actually still true for you right now based on where you are in your career right now? Because some of those beliefs might be outdated.
Yeah.
Some of those beliefs may have been helpful when you were first starting out. And now maybe they're not so helpful, but you're still carrying them around. So we would do some like reflection around that and probably like some journaling. And then I would ultimately work towards what are the uses of your time? What are the best uses of your time towards your goals, which some may be monetary, some may not. Some may be creative. Some may be self-sustaining, nervous system work, sleep, health. How can we then create an action plan of your time that's going to best support those goals?
Beautiful.
I'm just like, okay, I will be working with you after this. I'm just like, okay, okay. I feel better now.
But I would say if I could say one thing,
obviously,
I would say I would focus on your sleep as number one.
Yeah.
Because I think that is such a foundation for everything.
Yeah.
If I could just do one micro intervention, I would focus on the sleep.
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
And we can talk about that. I can give you tips for that too.
Give us tips now. We got time.
Yeah. I mean, so you said insomnia.
I think I'm dealing with some cortisol issues if my own research is correct, because I get a big adrenaline burst between the hours of 10 and sometimes 2 a.m. most nights of the week. I get home, I have trouble winding down, and then I have trouble staying asleep. And so what I found is I am like when my alarm goes off in the morning, that's when that's when I'm in my deepest sleep. And then it's so hard for me to it feels like that's when I've like hit REM. It's between like 6 and like 10 a.m. is when I'm like, oh, this feels good to sleep. And I can actually stay asleep at those hours. But then
I'm not a doctor, but also without doing more research on like the effects of adrenaline in the brain and like how long lasting those effects are, because I think that's a really important piece for your experience, which I would talk to a doctor about. And also this whole like self-diagnosis from TikTok and web, and this is like really dangerous. Okay, so
it's rampant.
It's not endorse this. Okay,
no.
But first question: do you have rituals to help you wind down? How do you wind down?
Yeah, I get home. All my bulbs at home are like switched to like low light stuff. So I'm low light when I get home. I try not to drink water or eat 3 hours before I go to sleep. No screens. If I'm feeling really tired, I'll usually just go right to sleep.
Okay.
But then if I'm not, I'll read.
Okay, great. Reading is great. My general thought is there may be practices for you to calm your mind more before you go to sleep. So oftentimes when we still have like a really active mind and we haven't fully calmed it or wound down, that impacts the quality of our sleep. So reading is a great way to do it. Meditating is a great way to do it. Guided meditations to wind down. There are guided meditations where you can like scan your day, which I find to be really helpful because oftentimes our dream state is essentially our subconscious processing what the fuck happened that day or week or month in our life. Our subconscious takes in so much. Like if there's a 100-page book, our conscious brain is only taking in 1 page.
Wow.
Right? But the subconscious brain, like, I don't know, the smell in this room or the fringe on that thing, like my subconscious brain would take it in even if my conscious brain wasn't like fully noticing it or aware. So when you do a guided meditation to almost run through your day, it helps the subconscious process. So there's almost like less going on mentally when you're sleeping, if that makes sense. And then I wonder if there are physical practices that could help you process or release some of the adrenaline in the body before you go to sleep. And then my next question is, what time is your alarm going off, and does it need to go off at that time, and are you getting enough sleep?
Yeah, I think I need to be setting it for later or not setting it at all and seeing when my body starts to wake up over the course of a long time. I think it's that capital, it's the like,
yes.
Get up
and
early to be
resist
productive.
Yes. But that brings me to such an important point, which is we have to value these things, value like really prioritizing and working on the quality of your sleep, value rest and slowing down, value downtime. We have to value that just as high, if not higher, than the productivity, than the this, than the work thing, than the checking this off the list, because this is the foundation of it all. What do we have if we don't have our health?
Yeah.
How are we showing up to these things if we haven't fucking slept well in 3 years?
Right.
Is that how you want to live your life? But also it again creates very real like health issues for us. So I would say one of your challenges too, and if I was working with you, we would try to start rewiring your belief system to value sleep, value this foundational element of your health and well-being as like top.
Yeah.
And
You
it's
gotta
hard.
prioritize. Now that Alex is good and healed, it's time for me to step into the hot seat with Natalie, where I pick her brain about perfectionism. Okay. So this is really great for us all to collectively chat about right now. So for the sake of playing a little role play in your coaching expertise,
Not a word.
we
Not even a word.
something I'm struggling with right now is perfectionism, is feeling like not only do I have to be perfect, but I have to do everything perfectly. And that therefore my self-worth is intrinsically tied to my perfectionist tendencies. And if I'm not perfect, or if I don't do the thing perfectly, I have failed, I'm awful. So talk to two fellow, and yourself included, high achievers, hustlers from New York City that have always been addicted to the go, 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 and the do. What is your advice for combating perfectionism and still being able to move forward and create and be productive?
Okay. Well, I think for you, I would ask, where do you think that came from? When you were a kid, were you getting messages that if you don't do things perfectly, then you're not good, or you would be punished, or you were unsafe, or you weren't cool, or where do you think that came from?
All the above. I think it's being, we talk about this so many times every episode, is like being a queer kid and acknowledging that I don't necessarily fit into this world or the stereotypes of masculinity that are being impressed upon me. Or so that's like one chapter of it. I also had, yes, a volatile household in which I was not always safe, and like a verbally abusive stepfather, and moving around a lot, alcoholic parents that were in recovery, but then back out of recovery and relapsing. So there was a lot of volatility in my childhood. So I know that in talking about it in therapy, I'm certain that, of course, a lot of it comes from there, and that I did get a lot of validation and a lot of comfort from my teachers, from my peers, from my friends, and from my friends' parents, and from my parents themselves, of like, oh, if Drew can be a straight A student, if he can be an amazing artist and win the awards, if he can do XYZ things, then like that's where I was able to receive love, was through validation of being exceptional and elite.
Okay, so you have a lot of awareness with a lot of that stuff, which is amazing, and that's deep stuff. So one, I would say that's definitely stuff to explore in the therapeutic realm, because you know, those things have really deep roots, and that's appropriate for therapy. But for coaching, we can see, and you've already sort of acknowledged that for you, perfectionism was safety, it was control, it was validation, it was almost a way of like separating yourself from the volatility of the family. So it was like serving all of these really real purposes or like needs that you had. I would say, and this is also more for the therapy realm, but you're no longer in that volatile household.
Yeah.
Right? And you know that cognitively, but somehow your nervous system is still responding and operating as if it's still in that place.
Yeah.
And so that need, that feeling inside is still there. And so the way that we change that is by corrective emotional experiences. So an example would be now as an adult, right? You get clear of, okay, I'm in charge of my own life. I live in New York City where I am safe to be exactly who I am and express myself and express my sexuality, right? You really kind of acknowledge I am an autonomous, sovereign adult who is safe and in charge of my life. And then when you have some specific example where you're working towards perfectionism, you try, and we do baby steps. You just try to put something out that's not perfect. You just try to not be perfect.
It's so hard.
It feels so hard. And then we get back to the discomfort conversation.
Yeah, I hate it.
Right.
But then
Yeah.
the corrective emotional experience comes when you do it, when you take that first little baby step into imperfection.
Yeah.
And then you're met with positive feedback. Or maybe even you just feel good yourself that you put something out. So let's say, I don't know, it's something on social media and you're like, it needs to be, and then you say, you know what, I'm just going to post it. And then someone says, oh my God, Drew, this video, I love it. Or wow, this is like less polished or something, but it feels really authentic or something. Like if people respond in that way. And then you have to let that sink in. You have to let that's how we create a corrective emotional experience. And we keep practicing that to reteach your nervous system that no, this imperfection is safe too.
Yeah.
I can do this. And we practice and we practice and we practice. I would also ask you things like, if we were working together, I would ask you things like, what is the perfectionism saying? Like, can we give it a voice? Can we let it talk? What is it telling you? Because sometimes when we do that, which we could practice right now, but sometimes when we do that, it helps externalize it, like our own thoughts.
Yeah.
And then it also helps us see like how much bullshit, like how fucked up it is.
Yeah.
So
I did this in therapy last week. We called it the judge. And it's like it's a judgmental, like, why didn't you fucking do that?
Yeah.
And it's been so helpful just even in labeling it, where I'm like, oh, I can hear it when it comes up. I'm like, oh, you're here. That's you. That's not me. That's you. I mean, it's me, but judge me. Yeah.
And the judge is trying to help you.
trying to help,
Mm.
trying to help. And I can see that it's trying to help. And I go, thank you so much for showing up. And why don't you sit over there in the stands for a second?
Exactly.
I got it.
So, like, Judge, you're kind of like insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking up way too much space.
100%. You're the annoying parent in the stands screaming at, and it's like, no, I'm the one in here. So thank you. I get that you're here to help, but you're not helping.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would.
Yeah,
Let's
it's-
hear.
it's
Let's
similar
hear.
to-
Let's
it's
do
similar
it.
to the job.
Yeah.
I
Should we
think
give him a
the
voice?
perfectionist is really fast paced. The perfect, because it's an anxious voice. It's a you got to do more, you got to do more, you got to keep going, and then being like, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's a fast paced, breathy voice. It is an anxious voice. It is really forward thinking in a bad way, like forward thinking in an anxious way of like, you're going to do that thing and then everything's going to fall apart and then you're going to be homeless. It's definitely driven by anxiety.
What is he actually saying?
That's not good enough. You're not good enough. You're going to fail. This is failure. This is holding you back. This is not good enough. A lot of it comes back to you're not good enough. This is not good enough. Therefore, you are.
So that is a deeply wired negative core belief that a lot of people have,
Yeah.
that they're not good enough.
Mm.
And so specifically for you, what I would work on in coaching, we would have to rewire that thought process and belief.
Yeah.
And the way that we rewire it, because our brain has neuroplasticity, which is really cool, we rewire it with new thoughts. We have to actively counter the I'm not good enough. We do that through affirmations. We do that through journaling. We do that through maybe we put a quote up on your mirror and in your bathroom at home. Like, we have to actively every day, every chance that we can, validate your goodness, validate that you are good enough. And then we have to start taking baby steps, actions of that imperfection and continue to validate that belief.
Absolutely.
I read something recently about the second thought, that you can't control the first thought. So you can at some point, but
The first thought's subconscious.
The first thought comes up and you're not good enough. But the second thought that you can follow it right up with is, I am good enough. Or not only am I good enough, I'm great. But that second thought is the one that's the piece where you can work on. And I used to think that first thought comes and how do I stop the first thought from, and it's like, there's no stopping that. That's going to come in. That's going to come up whenever it wants.
Unless and until you rewire the thought and belief.
Exactly. And the rewiring comes from pushing back on it.
Exactly. And in your case too, Drew, some inner child work could be amazing, which I would suggest doing in the therapy realm. But, the inner child work is like you go back to little Drew. You go back to some key moments, which you'll have strong memories of a moment where you felt I'm not good enough, or I didn't do this thing right, and I got this really bad experience, really embarrassing thing happen in school, or whatever it was. You go back to the moment and you make contact with the inner child. It's essentially like a guided meditation you would do with your therapist, and you give him a voice. You access what he's feeling at the time, what he's thinking. It can be very intense and emotional. And you essentially reparent that inner child, that part of yourself. Because I do think that voice, that perfectionist within you, I think it's a much younger part of you.
Yeah, I completely agree. It absolutely is. And that's definitely the voice that keeps coming out. Yeah. He needs some love.
He needs some love.
Yeah.
He needs some love.
Give him a 2-minute embrace.
Right now.
Hey.
Everyone, close your eyes.
Hey.
But the micro shift, the practical is just try to put that one thing out that's not perfect and just see what happens. Just say, all right, I don't know. I feel really fucking weird and uncomfortable, but let me just try it. I had this moment. I've done a lot of work on all my very similar stuff too. And I had this moment with my therapist a couple of years ago. I don't know if it was like a work presentation. It was something I was stressed about and I was anxious and I was, and she was like, what if you fuck it all up.
Mm.
And like, I was like,
Yeah.
like my first response was just like, I can't even like imagine or contend with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then she was like, no, just what if you're not perfect? What if you go in front of this board of people you're making a presentation on and you don't do well?
Mm.
Like, imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
So then she pushed me to imagine that. And it's like, okay, so embarrassing. I would probably turn red. I might like leave the room. Everyone in the room might have some judgments about me. But then what? I'm not going to lose my job.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't like really change anything about who I am or my abilities or capabilities. Like, then what? If you really push it, if you really push through the thought, like, then what is going to happen?
Yeah.
And it sounds so simple, but that was such a freeing, like, aha moment for me because I placed so much pressure on myself for so long to achieve and be perfect and do more and not show the stress and not crack and be perfect under pressure and take on the thing and not say no and that's all childhood stuff. And I think a lot of it is really intergenerational trauma that a lot of Black people inherit about like having to do better and having to perform and having like literally for safety and survival in this country. So it has really deep roots. But that was such a freeing moment for me. And I still ask myself that question when I find myself feeling the same way.
That is liberating.
Yeah.
My therapist is like has sometimes asked me similar questions. It's like, well, okay, so like, what is the worst thing? What's the worst case scenario here? And forcing yourself through that is helpful. It is helpful.
And then when you think about the worst case scenario, okay, what does that mean relative to what really matters to me in my life? The people who I love are still going to love me. I'm still going to know that I'm intelligent and able and worthy and I'm not going to lose my job. So this isn't like survival of like my paycheck or something, you know, like.
Wow.
And so, and it's also just the last thought on that. It's like giving so much power to other people. It like for me, that fear, it was all about what people would think about me or how they would judge me as not being perfect in a professional setting.
Yeah.
Why am I giving my power away? Like,
right.
It's about reclaiming your space,
Yeah.
your peace, your autonomy, and holding on to that, which is really powerful.
Yeah.
To take that back and reclaim that. Yeah. Wow.
We have to stop, and I never want to stop talking to you.
This has been so amazing.
Great. This has been a dynamite episode.
We do have to end with
we end
quickly our rapid fire.
10 questions as fast as you can. Rapid fire. I'll do 5. Drew will do 5. Okay, ready? Kill, fuck, marry. Therapy, journaling, long walks.
Okay. I marry therapy. I fuck long walks, and I kill journaling.
Inner child work or shadow work.
Both.
Positive affirmations or screaming in the car.
Both.
Quit the job or change the mindset.
Depends on your circumstances because I acknowledge systemic conditions that lead me
Therapist answer.
But quit the fucking job.
Okay.
If you can. There's so much privilege in that. There's so much privilege in that.
There
Like,
is.
I can't just be like, quit your job.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Surf or snorkel.
Snorkel.
Okie dokie. What's a color that you could never live without?
Blue.
Kill, fuck, marry. Tequila, whiskey, or 0 proof alcohol?
I kill everything and I drink water.
Yes, good one. Okay. If you put a piece of bread on the North Pole and on the South Pole, do we officially live in a sandwich?
No.
Okay. You have to go on vacation with Big Bird from Sesame Street. Where do you go?
Anguilla.
Beautiful. What is the best thing about a corporate job?
A paycheck and health insurance and stability.
Dreams. Okay.
Amazing.
Great job.
That was so fun. If folks are in Maui, they can connect with you, potentially if you have room in your practice. But for coaching, do you do that virtually as well?
Yeah, so coaching is all virtual. My Instagram is Natalie Diaz Wellness, and my website is nataliediazwellness.com.
beautiful.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for
This
this
was
incredible
awesome.
insight
Incredible.
and role play coaching with
Yeah.
us was so delightful and helpful. Thank you.
It was amazing.
Such a good
Best.
conversation.
So good.
This was wonderful.
You're
Oh,
dynamite.
back at you.
So impressive.
Amazing.
All right.
Loved it.
Thank you so much for everything. We appreciate it, Natalie.
Yes. So much. Thank
All
you
right,
guys so
everyone.
much for listening.
Like, follow, subscribe, comment, do everything. We love you all. Have a good week. Bye.